Chapter 1911, 10 Days in the Air. The Sphinx charged towards Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin, and the entire desert was covered in yellow sand whipped up by the wind. Yang Xinxin stepped forward and said, "I'll take care of this one." The giant target was perfect for her abilities. All she needed was for her fallen angel puppet to shoot an arrow, and the Sphinx would turn against its master and become her slave. She held out her hands, and a large amount of black smoke spread out from beneath her feet and then rushed up into the sky, turning into turbulent clouds. The broken angel descended from the sky, holding the bow of condemnation and the arrow of judgment. She opened her arms and pulled back the long black bow, aiming it at the Sphinx in front of her. A heat wave hit, as if the desert was about to burn, and a large amount of the ground had melted into a transparent liquid. The roaring beast opened its huge mouth, ready to bite the two people in front of it. And the fallen angel puppet also shot the arrow that symbolized the domination of all things. Whoosh! The black arrow broke the air and even the raging flames could not stop its momentum. Without any obstacles, it shot into the body of the Sphinx. The huge beast suddenly stopped in midair. "It has become mine," Yang Xinxin said coldly. She raised her right hand, the palm of which was slightly bent. An invisible black thread called karma had already linked her to the Sphinx. However, as soon as she gave the order for the Sphinx to attack Ken Sane at the top of the pyramid, the huge Sphinx, in front of her and Zhang Yi, suddenly turned into a hot blast of air and disappeared without a trace. Yang Xinxin let her right hand drop and said indifferently, "It's not really a material entity, but an energy body." "Is it something like a summoned guardian spirit?" On the sun disk, Ken Sane still looked calmly at the bottom. "Oh? Little girl, your power is very strong, and it seems that you can control whatever the arrow hits. It's just a pity that my guardian beast can be condensed or disintegrated at will. So, it seems that your power has no effect on me." A sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. He still sat on the towering pyramid in an unconcerned manner, not taking the initiative to attack, but rather waiting for the two challengers in front of him to continue attacking. "I haven't encountered an opponent in a long time. You both seem very strong. I've never heard of people like you before. I think you must either be hidden masters of the church, or helpers that they deliberately recruited from foreign lands. It's just a pity that from the moment you set foot on this land, your fate was sealed and you were doomed to defeat." Ken Sane's tone was very matter-of-fact, as if he were commenting on the food Zhang Yi had cooked. "Oh no, technically that wasn't even cooked by Zhang Yi." Zhang Yi smiled. "You seem very confident in your abilities?" "Oh no, to be precise, are you very confident in the power of faith you possess? But I also regret to tell you, you are not the first opponent I have faced with the power of faith." Next to Ken Sane, a large amount of yellow sand from beneath the earth surged up, before coalescing into a new Sphinx next to the pyramid. "No, it might be more appropriate to call it Anubis," Yang Xinxin said. "He is deliberately letting me make the move. The pyramid doesn't look like it will move. The structure is not made of sand or energy, but is actually built from huge stones. The spear of Longinus is either inside the pyramid or the solar disk above it. The third possibility is that it is somewhere underground. He saw my power, but didn't take any precautions, which means that my power is useless against him." Yang Xinxin tilted her face slightly and said to Zhang Yi, "Brother, my power cannot be used in the short term. It is best for you to create the opportunity and directly attack his true body." She looked at Ken Sane above the solar disk. "But how can we be sure that that is his true form?" Zhang Yi said in a deep voice, "He has already abandoned his physical body and become a spiritual being or something like that. Spiritual beings must have a foundation, so he must also be relying on the spear of Longinus to achieve this attribute of life. But will it be useful just to attack his spiritual body?" "Yes," Yang Xinxin said very confidently. "It's better to say that attacking the spiritual body that condenses his thoughts directly will have a better effect." Zhang Yi just nodded. "Then I'm relieved." Ken Sane frowned. "Aren't you going to continue?" "Then, let me do it." He raised his right hand, and the golden solar disk suddenly burst into brilliant light. The bright and dazzling solar disk became illusory under the sky, and shadows appeared one after the other. Those shadows were very large and round, and they connected with the solar disk in midair to form a straight line. They gradually brighten up, with the solar disk at their center. The flames are burning, and they become even larger and brighter than the solar disk, as if there were one sun after another hanging in the very center of the sky. 10 suns in the sky. General Sane murmured. 10 enormous suns were floating in the sky of this world. Who dash? In the desert near Zhangyi, a raging fire had suddenly ignited due to overheating. The wildfire was burning the entire desert, and the heat wave distorted the light in the air, making it impossible to distinguish between the color of the yellow sand and the color of the flames. The sun scorched the earth with such power that it could instantly vaporize and turn into corpses all living things within a radius of hundreds of kilometers. However, Ken Sane's eyes widened slightly, because he saw an incredible scene. In the middle of the desert, the two people did not move at all, and their bodies were not scorched to charcoal by the sun. Oh! For the first time, a serious look appeared in his eyes. Everything under heaven is currently the second highest defense ability currently known to humans. And number 1, also from Zhangyi, is called Void World Departure. 10 suns were crossing the sky, bringing a full visual pressure, but they could not break Zhangyi's defense at this time. The sun that never sets? Ha! Zhangyi gave Ken Sane, who was sitting high on the pyramid, a finger wave. Is that the best you've got? It doesn't hurt me at all. Fine, I'll stand here and let you hit me. I want to see if you have the ability to break through my defenses. If you can't even break through my defenses, I don't think there's any point in continuing the fight, do you? There was a difference in information between the two. Ken Sane of the Keiji Kingdom, due to the delay in information, did not know chaos on the other side of the planet, so he was not aware that Zhangyi's most powerful ability was defense. In a battle between masters, the one who strikes first is likely to reveal their flaws. Previously, Yang Xinxin had been tricked by Ken Sane using Anubis, revealing the abilities of the fallen angel puppet, so she chose to temporarily stop and not reveal any more information. Now, Zhangyi was letting the other party strike first. General Ken Sane's smile slowly faded. You want to die, don't you? Then I'll give you that chance. He pointed his right hand in the direction of Zhangyi and Yang Xinxin, and suddenly snapped his fingers. Wandering sun. 10 suns floated in the sky, like a balance with the sun's disk as the center of gravity. At this moment, the balance suddenly started to turning into a large spear, aimed at Zhangyi. The sun at the front suddenly broke away from the balance and fell towards Zhangyi. It burned fiercely, and as it fell, it became larger and larger. The pressure on Zhangyi's dimensional gate was also becoming enormous. Just as I thought, the level of power of this attack is equivalent to that of a high-level white bishop. But, Zhangyi raised his palm towards the sky. It seems like I can still hold my own. His palm clenched, as if he had control over the golden sun in the sky. In the dimensional gate, like a package that contained everything, gathered in the blazing, bright sun. Rumble. The sun was falling, with roaring sounds, a violent solar storm. The dimensional gate was also trembling frantically, but it slowly disappeared into Zhangyi's dimensional space without causing it to collapse. This process lasted for several seconds, and eventually the sun completely disappeared into space. The desert returned to silence, and Zhangyi and Yang Xinxin stood in the same place, undiminished by Ken Sane's attack. This time, Ken Sane's face finally showed a look of shock. My attack, the wandering sun, was actually blocked? Then his expression became calm. It seems that you really are no ordinary person. You are very strong, and even if you look at the entire world, you are definitely one of the top people. But unfortunately, he pointed at Zhangyi, his eyes still full of the kind of invincible domineering. What you have blocked is just a casual attack from me. So, can you still block the next attack? After his voice fell, Zhangyi saw with his own eyes where the sun that had disappeared was located, and a small flame ignited. Soon the flame soared and turned into a huge blazing sun. 10 suns in the sky, exactly the same as before. my power comes from the 20 million citizens of the Keiji kingdom. It's endless. Zhang Yi stretched his body a little. It seems that I need to dodge the next attack. Although I was able to block the first attack, I still have some strength left. However, the source of the opponent's power is almost endless, and it will be difficult for me to kill him unless I kill all 20 million citizens of the Keiji kingdom. But, Zhang Yi stared at Ken Sane above him. During that time, I killed your true body, which also caused you considerable damage, right? Even if you pretend not to care, the fact that you brought me to this world in an instant shows that your injuries are not as insignificant as they seem. The Undertaker had also healed quickly after being injured before, but afterwards, the energy fluctuations left in his body also had to be smoothed out over time. Shut up. Ken Sane said coldly. He raised his hand, and this time, two suns descended from the sky, one to the left and one to the right, crashing towards Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin. The sun scorched the earth, just as if the real sun were crashing into the surface of the earth. The area covered was so vast that it was extraordinarily difficult to avoid. But this person in front of him was Zhang Yi. He could use a space shuffle to pull away 4 kilometers at a time, avoiding the source of the exploding wandering sun. The heat wave swept across the entire desert, causing it to melt and turn into a transparent, viscous liquid. Zhang Yi was not going to continue taking passive hits. Let me try his defense. If possible, we'd better use your arrow to directly hit his spiritual body. Yang Xinxin nodded. The divine refinement in Zhang Yi's hand condensed into a black gun in his left hand. The large caliber, thick barrel was full of a primitive, violent aesthetic. In his right hand, he summoned the same red magic sword as Ichigard. Star-piercing cannon. From a great distance away, a terrifying black light spewed directly from the muzzle, dimming the golden world for a moment. The fierce sun in the sky was robbed of its light by the thick black light, as if it were a black hole. Simple and unadorned, without any bells and whistles, this was the simplest form of antimatter attack. From more than 10 kilometers away, a shot pierced the space between the two and struck the huge pyramid. A mysterious ripple appeared on the surface of the pyramid, spreading out layer after layer, dissipating the power of the star-piercing cannon. However, this was an antimatter attack unleashed by Zhang Yi, whose supernatural ability index was as high as 35,000 points. Even this pyramid could hardly completely neutralize its power, and fine cracks appeared on the walls visible to the naked eye. Oh? Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow. So it's not indestructible after all, it can be broken. However, soon after, the fine cracks were repaired as before, as smooth as a mirror. Yang Xinxin said, judging from this state, unless your attack can reach 20 times its current strength, there is no way to completely penetrate the pyramid. Zhang Yi smiled, that would be very difficult, unless my supernatural ability index soars to 50,000 points. Even if I pull out all the stops, it's impossible. At this time, it was night outside. A golden beam of light appeared from the small island in the middle of the lake in Prison City and shot up into the sky. This pillar of light rushed up into the clouds, allowing many people in the entire Prison City and even the surrounding area to see it. For some reason, many people woke up from their sleep and climbed to the window. They looked in the direction of Prison City and clasped their hands in prayer. May our great commander Ken Sane be forever healthy, invincible, and like the sun in the sky that never sets, defend the people of the Keiji kingdom. The void was shadowless, and gratitude intertwined. The power of the individual is extremely weak. Their mental power cannot even stir a single breeze to turn the pages of a book. But the combined faith of more than 20 million people, especially the many humans who have mutated in the end times, has become an unstoppable force. The moment the pyramid was repaired, the man praying in the outer city area of Prison City suddenly felt a little tired in body and mind. He heard a tapping sound coming from the next room, and his heart sank. He quickly covered his mouth and lowered his voice of prayer. His wife was doing business next door, and he couldn't disturb the guests' enjoyment, otherwise without the 5 pounds of millet, the family wouldn't be able to make ends meet for the next few days. Zhang Yi's powerful attack surprised Ken Sane greatly, because this was the first time since the completion of his solar pyramid that it had been injured. and the enemy before him was also the most powerful opponent he had ever faced in his life. A sense of seriousness arose in his heart, but he was not particularly afraid. Because he had the world's heaviest shield wall, the people of the Keiji kingdom. I, Kensane, cannot be defeated. Kensane struck again, and several suns descended from the sky, shooting towards Zhang Yi. The vast light enveloped the entire world, and the blazing waves of light turned the desert into a giant piece of glass. Zhang Yi did not resist head-on, but chose to dodge, and used everything under heaven to absorb his attack. His power is almost endless, and he is indeed difficult to kill. Zhang Yi exclaimed. Yang Xinxin reminded Zhang Yi, brother, don't forget, no one can escape their fate. He is destined to be destroyed. Give me a chance to punish him. Good. Zhang Yi used divine refinement to form chains that linked Yang Xinxin to his body, so that she would never be separated from him and would always be under his protection. Zhang Yi raised his right hand and brandished the magic blade. As the wandering sun was about to fall upon him, he suddenly swung the blade in a wide arc. The black shadow fiercely collided with the two suns, triggering a terrifying energy storm. Commander Sane's attack was repelled, and he opened the dimensional gate and passed through the source of the energy storm. Then, he started to traverse around the pyramid at breakneck speed. His speed was unimaginable, and his buffs were fully charged. Both Zhou Qir's body modification and the mobility granted to him by the demon god Mecha, combined with his own infinite acceleration in space, gave him the mobility that was no less than a top enhancement type mutant. So, he was fast as lightning, and began to circle the pyramid in an arc, launching his attack. Commander Sane frowned, but still refused to move, sitting on the solar disk. The power of his faith continued to pour into his body, so he did not need to fight desperately against his opponent. No matter how powerful an opponent is, if they cannot instantly destroy the object to which his power of faith is attached, they will be worn down and die. He only needed to fight hard. In space, the great sun fell, and the terrifying energy transformed from the power of countless citizens of the Keiji kingdom was recklessly vented by Marshal Sane and used to attack Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi was not having a hard time defending against these attacks, but they would eventually have some effect. If this continued, Zhang Yi would definitely lose. But who was he? He was the world's #1 space ability user. His forte was a war of attrition. His other dimensional space was like a pocket of the Japanese cartoon character Doraemon, hiding so many treasures. The black blade of his magic sword swept through the air like a black moon in the sky, slashing down the giant suns one after the other. An energy storm swept across the desert, and this boundless world was full of murderous intent. After dozens of exchanges, Zhang Yi felt that the time had come. Suddenly, from the middle of his magic sword, a red energy crystal the size of a thumb began to shine with infinite light. The energy core, the pinnacle of mechanical civilization's technology, began to burn. After Zhang Yi's unremarkable slash, he raised the magic sword again, but this time, everything had changed. It was no longer black void energy, but a seductive bright red, like blood, like the thick blood rising from a sea of corpses. A storm of blood surged out of the blade of the demon sword, its intensity almost like a gushing blood spring, wildly dancing around the blade. This slash was made in midair, the blood-red blade cutting through the boundless desert and sweeping across the waist of the pyramid. The power unleashed by the burning red energy crystals can instantly make Zhang Yi's strike reach the power level of a black bishop. Even this huge pyramid will definitely suffer heavy damage. Kensane's face became grave. Even though he had the power of faith, which was almost infinite, destruction was always easier than reconstruction. If Zhang Yi really destroyed his foundation, he might indeed be killed due to a lack of subsequent energy supply. The world sought refuge in the heavens granted it, the world offered up grain and meat as tribute, and the heavens bestowed fire and light. The greedy, tyrannical and ignorant humans tried to rebel against the heavens, so Amon-Ra sent down eternal darkness. That day, the black sun descended. Commander Sane raised his arms high into the air, and the light of the 10 suns in the sky suddenly dimmed, as did the majestic pyramid beneath him. The sky grew dark, and a black orb condensed in his hands. At the moment Zhang Yi's sword slashed, the black sun exploded. The black light turned into layers of mountains, sweeping in waves in all directions. Like huge mountains, they blocked the slash of the sword. The mountains crumbled one after the other, annihilating each other with the bloody blade light. The collision of the two forces made Zhang Yi fly backwards involuntarily. Sure enough, it is still a bit difficult to break through like this head-on, isn't it? Zhang Yi couldn't help but exclaim. One force breaks through all methods. Yang Xinxin explained, Commander Sane is in his own home territory, and his energy is countless times greater than yours. Even if you expend several times as much energy as him, you will still find it difficult to break through his defenses and slash him. So what should I do? Zhang Yi smiled faintly. Even at this moment, he was not overly nervous. Perhaps it was because, from the very beginning, he had never felt that killing Ken Sane would be that easy. Yang Xinxin said, a dark and gloomy cloud, killing without a sword. If no one dies, no one can escape. This shows that it is impossible to defeat him by force. Next, we'll have to see if our friends outside can follow the plan and complete the mission. Zhang Yi nodded, and the magic sword in his hand reversed. I hope that, as you said, I am the promised one in this prophecy. Commander Sane's sun once again appeared in the sky, consuming the beliefs and power of the people of the Keiji Kingdom. This was not an endless power. After excessive consumption, it would damage their lives, because it itself was the origin of life. But for Ken Sane, the lives of those people did not matter, they were just numbers.